We have had a victory over the Germans and disarmed them, but we failed in the liberation of Europe. We have lost the war. We promised the Europeans freedom. It would be worse than dishonorable not to see that they have it. This might mean war with the Russians, but what of it? They have no air force, and their gasoline and ammunition supplies are low. I've seen their miserable supply trains, mostly wagons drawn by beaten-up old horses or oxen. I'll say this, the Third Army alone, and with damned few casualties, could lick what is left of the Russians in 6 weeks. You mark my words, don't ever forget them. Someday we will have to fight them, and it will take 6 years and cost us 6 million lives. If we have to fight them, now is the time. From now on, we will get weaker and they stronger. Those were some quotes from General Patton, who was thoroughly convinced that after our defeat of the Axis, we should have immediately turned against the Soviets and crushed them right there and then. Had the world taken his advice, we might have not seen a Cold War. Maybe we would have seen something worse. But what we're going to do is we're going to dive into why Patton felt this way. We're going to talk about the pact with the devil, so to speak, the Allies and their alliance with the Soviets. World War II began when Germany invaded Poland. The UK and France declared war on Germany, and well, the rest is history. However, the USSR also invaded Poland. They had a pact with the Germans on how to divide up the territory. But the Allies did not declare war on the Soviets. The reason I bring this up is because the Allies ended up coming into the war against Germany not as protectors of Poland, but as punishers of Germany. And this can be perfectly seen with just how things ended in 1945. The USSR left World War II with an assortment of puppet states throughout Eastern Europe. Germany was split in two. Poland was entirely their domain. So Patton was right in asking whether or not the Allies had actually won the war. To him, it wasn't a victory. It was a defeat. The only way to see victory would have been to strike the Russians and liberate what they were now occupying, to go in and topple these new puppet regimes, to do what they had just done in France and Belgium and the Netherlands, but this time against the Reds in the East. I think we should really consider this when we think about the war. The war's outcome was not ideal to the Allies. Half of Europe fell under an Iron Curtain, and the stage was set for a Cold War, a war that couldn't really be fought due to the presence of nuclear weapons, due to mutually assured destruction. MAD didn't exist in 1945, so maybe we should have went with Patton's idea. Maybe we should have extended the war and had Sherman tanks roll through the streets of Moscow. It would have been bloody, very bloody, but so was the Cold War. Sure, Europe never burst into flames, and nuclear warheads never hit the United States, but the proxy conflicts throughout South America, Africa, and Asia led to the deaths of many, both soldier and civilian. In the comments section, let me know what you thought about this video and what you think about World War II broadly. Now let's start a discussion. One of the reasons I made this video is because World War II is commonly seen as a good guy versus bad guy situation. You have the Allies, which in this case includes the Soviets, the good guys, versus the Axis, the bad guys. Even if you're looking at it from the Allied perspective or the Soviet perspective, it wasn't like this. The Western powers in the USSR were reluctant allies. They cooperated out of necessity. I think we should stop acting like the Soviets were fighting a war of liberation. They weren't. They were fighting a war of revenge. They raped their way to Berlin. It's not something to be proud of. There were war crimes on all sides. We've got to start looking at World War II with more nuance. That's my opinion. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.